Preseason NFL is the most ignored betting window in all of football. Everyone waits for week one of the regular season. Meanwhile, there's one specific bet across the 3 preseason weeks that hits 80% of the time historically. Almost nobody's placing it. I'm going to walk you through the 4 filters that identify these bets, the reason preseason is structurally different from regular season, and the exact games in August worth running the system on. If you want to profit from the boring 3 weeks of football that nobody else is paying attention to, this is the video. Let me explain why most bettors lose money in preseason before I show you what works. Mistake number 1, they bet preseason like it's regular season. Same money lines, same spreads, same player props. They treat a Cowboys vs. Broncos preseason game the same way they treat a Week 8 matchup. The problem is preseason games don't behave like regular season games. Different rules apply. Mistake number 2, they bet on the team with better starters. This is the biggest trap in preseason betting. Starters barely play anymore. The 2011 collective bargaining agreement changed everything. Coaches rest their key players. Some teams don't play their starting quarterback for a single snap across all preseason games. So when you bet on the team with the better starters, you're betting on players who aren't even on the field. And number 3, they bet on preseason overs. Public money loves overs, and preseason is no different. Casual bettors want to see touchdowns. Books know this, and they price preseason totals to capture the public money. The overline gets shaded high, which leaves the under sitting there mispriced in your favor. Almost nobody clicks it because unders are boring and preseason is already boring, so double boring feels like the worst possible bet to place. But that's why it's exactly the most profitable one to do. Now here's the strategy that captures it. The math behind preseason unders is structural, not situational. Preseason NFL is fundamentally a different sport than regular season. Coaches don't game plan for specific opponents. Play calling is intentionally vanilla, so opponents can't scout their schemes for the regular season. Starting quarterbacks either don't play at all or play 1 to 2 series before they get pulled. The bulk of the game is played by second string, third string, and roster bubble players that are fighting for the jobs. That combination produces specific outcomes. First, offenses can't sustain drives. Backup quarterbacks struggle with route timing that they haven't even practiced. Offensive lines have players who've never played together. Third-string running backs miss holes. The average offense scores fewer points per drive than any regular season offense. This makes the defenses look better than they actually are. Not because they're actually elite, but because they're facing incompetent offenses. Sacks happen, turnovers happen, 3-and-outs happen constant. Fourth quarter garbage time doesn't produce late scoring. In regular season, teams down by 14 with 5 minutes left to throw the ball, 40 yards down the field trying to score. In preseason, coaches call runs up the middle to kill the clock. Nobody cares about the result. Nobody's chasing points. The combined effect, preseason games score fewer points than regular season games. Books know this, but because public money floods the overs, the unders remains mispriced. Historical data confirms it across the 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 preseasons. The average preseason game produced 34.7 total points. The average line set by the books was 41.5. That's a 7-point gap that lives in the bettor's favor for the unders. Now let's dive into the exact method that you need. It's 4 filters. Every potential preseason under has to clear all 4 filters. If it misses one, then you... So let's go ahead and start with filter number 1. The preseason week, which one you actually need to do here. The game must be in preseason for week 2, 3, and 4. We're going to skip week 1. Week 1 preseason games are the exception to the rule. Coaches use them to get starters some live action after a long season. Starting quarterbacks often play 1 to 2 series. Some coaches play starters into the second quarter. Scoring can be normal because the actual talent field. By week 2, especially week 3, the pattern shifts completely. Starters barely play. Coaches focus on evaluating backups and roster bubble players. The talent gap between what's on the field in preseason versus regular season becomes maximum. That's when the unders are complete. If you're looking at week 1 of the preseason, you're going to skip it completely. The different math and different strategy is needed for the first week. Now let's go ahead and jump to filter number 2. Both teams must have publicly announced or leaked that their starters will sit or play very limited snaps. Teams need to announce starters are sitting. By week 2 or week 3, coaches usually before the game. Check the team's beat report accounts on X. Check the team's official injury report or non-injury report. If both coaches have said their starters are resting, then the game qualifies. If one team is playing their starters longer than the other, then you need to mismatch that produces overs. So again, teams need to announce that the starters were... Now let's go ahead and get to filter number 3. Neither team can an elite backup QB. So you have to skip any game as a former starter. Serving as a backup. An elite backup can single-handedly push a preseason game over. A guy like Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield playing as a backup at preseason still throw for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns because he's playing against second-string defense. Don't know what's relevant. So check the depth chart. If either team's QB2 has 20 or more career NFL starts, you need to skip that. That's the elite backup threshold. So QB2 with 20 or more starts is where you will skip. Either team has that. If both teams' backup and third-string quarterbacks are career journeymen or rookies, the game qualifies. Now let's go ahead and get to filter number 4. This is the total line, what the total line must be. It needs to be between 38 and 44. That's what the current line is. It needs to be between 38 and 44. Below 38, the book is already dialed in. There's no edge left. Above 40, the game features something else. Maybe both teams have elite backups that you might have missed. Maybe specific pushing scoring expectations up. Reassess it or skip it altogether. The real sweet spot for a total 40 and 43, but you can push it between these numbers as well. Your true sweet spot, 40 to 43. That's where historically, when you move the number like we're about to do, you're able to hit 80% of the time. So if we run through a game and we find a total exactly meeting all that we, for example, the Cardinals versus the Broncos. Total is set at 41. What we want is we want to first, obviously, go through our 4 filters. If they all meet our criteria for 4 filters, what we're going to do next is we're going to take this number, okay? This is the minus 110 number first. And what we're going to do is we're going to buy this up to the minus 300 alternate line. And the reason why we're going to do that is because now we're going to be able to move this number up to about 49 points. Now, just think of this real quick. You got a preseason game that goes through all of our filters that favors an under right off the bat anyway. We find a number that's in the sweet spot of 41. We drastically move that number down more than a touchdown. In a preseason game, mind you. We're in preseason. So, which preseason games usually meet over a threshold of 49 total points? Rarely any, and that's where your edge comes into play. Because now, on a standpoint of implied probability, we have an alternate line that has an implied probability of 75%. But historically, games that go through this filter, this checklist of the 4 filters that I gave you, historically hit from 80 up to 90% of the time, giving yourself a 5 to 15% advantage. And just like that, you've took preseason football that is completely boring and completely meaningless and turned it into an actual profitable bet where you can act. Now, I know everything that I just showed you sounds like a lot of work, and it is a lot of work if you have to do it manually. All 4 filters, yes, it's going to take you some time to break that stuff down. But if you want to automate that and you want it done literally in seconds, all you have to do is use the Linemaker AI, which is a sports betting chatbot where you can literally put these filters in there and it'll spit it out exactly which games actually meet this criteria that I told you. If you want to start your trial with the Linemaker AI, click the link in the description so that way you can get started today. There's always a spot in sports betting, no matter what the sport is, no matter if it's preseason or postseason or regular season, where you can find an edge. You just have to have the math make sense. As always, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then,